Welcome to Algebra 1. The learning goal for this episode is to learn about measures of central tendency and dispersion. First, some necessary vocabulary. The mean, sometimes called average, of a numerical data set is denoted by x bar. For the data set x sub 1, x sub 2, etc., 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 all the way out to x sub n, the mean, x bar, equals x sub 1 plus x sub 2 plus etc., 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 all the way out to x sub n, divided by n. In normal language, we add up all the numbers in your data set and divide by how many numbers you have. The median is the middle number in a data set where the numbers are written in numerical order. If the data set has an even number of values, the median is then the mean of the two middle values. The mode of a data set is the value that occurs most frequently. There can be one mode, no mode, or multiple modes. A measure of dispersion describes the dispersion, or spread, of the data. The range of a numerical set of data is the difference of the greatest value and the least value. Then the mean absolute deviation of the data set x sub 1, x sub 2 out to x sub n is given by the absolute value of x sub 1 minus x bar, remember that x bar is the mean, plus the absolute value of x sub 2 minus x bar, and continues out to the absolute value of x sub n minus x bar, all divided by n. In other words, take each value in the data set, find the absolute difference between it and the mean, then add all those up and divide by the number of data values. Keep in mind there are other measures of central tendency. We're just going to focus on mean absolute deviation for now. Let's look at an example. Find the mean, median, and mode of this data. To find the mean, we simply add up all the values and divide by the number of values. In this case, there are 5 of them, so we divide by 5 and get a mean of 12.4. People often refer to this word as average, but average can really refer to mean, median, or mode. The median is the number in the middle. Since our values are already in numerical order, we can just pick out the middle value right away, which is 12. In this data set, there is no mode, since each value only occurs once. Let's try another one. Find the range and mean absolute deviation of this data. To find the range, we simply take the largest value, 85, and subtract the smallest value, 20, and get 65. For the mean absolute deviation, first we have to find the mean. So we add them all up and divide by 5 to get a mean of 46. Now we can use our formula for mean absolute deviation. We take each data value, subtract the mean that we just found, and take the absolute value of that. Then we add all those up, divide by the total number of items, which in this case is 5. So for this problem, we start with 85 minus my mean of 46, which gives us 39. The absolute value of 39 is still 39. Then we do that again with each value. Notice that when we get to 35, 30, and 20, the difference would initially be negative, but when we take the absolute value, it makes it positive. When we do all of them, add them up and divide by 5, we get a mean absolute deviation of 21.2. If we had additional data sets, we could then compare how spread out this one was compared to the others by comparing their mean absolute deviations. Now for our guided practice section. We're going to work through some problems together. You do not need to write down these problems, just step through them with me. At each step, I'm going to prompt you the question you should be asking yourself, then I'll pause for about 5 seconds for you to think about it and answer for yourself, then I'll show you. So for this problem, what are we trying to do here? What we're trying to do is find mean, median, and mode. How do we do that? First, we use our formula for mean. We add up all of our numbers and divide by 8, which is how many numbers we have. That works out to be 22. Then what? Then we find the median. Our numbers are already in order, so that helps. In this case, we have an even number of data values, so there's not one number that's smack dab in the middle. So we take the two numbers in the middle, 20 and 22, and we take their mean. So we take 20 plus 22, divide by 2, and get a median of 21. What's next? Next, we figure out that we have no mode at all because each item appears only once. Let's try another one. How do we do this one? First, we find the range by subtracting our smallest value from our largest. That gives us a range of 34. Then what? before we can calculate our mean absolute deviation, we must first calculate our mean. So we add up all of our numbers and divide by 6, which gives us 126. Now what? Now we use our formula for mean absolute deviation, subtracting our mean from each data value, taking the absolute value, adding all those up, and dividing by 6, which gives us 10.7, rounded to the nearest tenth. Now for the self-check section. In this section, you're going to physically pause the video as you work out the problem on paper in your notebook. Then you'll press play to check to see how you did. You'll have 5 seconds to pause the video after I stop speaking before I show you the solution. Please pause the video and work out the problem, then press play to check. Here is the solution. Please compare this to your work. Pause the video here if you need more time to compare, then press play again to move to the next problem. Same thing on this problem. Pause the video, write down this problem and work it out in your notebook, then press play to check. Please pause the video now. Here's the solution. Again, pause the video if you need more time to compare this to your work. In closing, let's review our learning goal. We wanted to learn about measures of central tendency and dispersion. We did that by learning the definitions and formulas for mean, median, mode, range, and mean standard deviation.